there's this big, stuff going on right now about like, let yourself feel these things, let yourself feel these things. And I do agree with that. But I do also think that there's a point where we get safe and we get comfortable feeling like shit all the time. And then it feels really hard to move forward because we're being told left and right, you should be feeling these feelings. You should be feeling these feelings. And you're like, but I felt them and I don't feel any better. I think that there's a way of honoring your feelings while still moving forward.
Welcome to the Life Coach Baker podcast. I'm Nicole Baker, life coach for perfectionists who want to set goals and actually follow through with them. I went to my first personal development seminar at the age of 1. Yes, I was quite literally born into this industry. But by 15, I started to implement this mindset mumbo jumbo I'd heard so much about, and it worked. As a recovering perfectionist myself, I've been able to set goals that are way out of my comfort zone and achieve them by doing things imperfectly, without self-judgment, and without the fear of their opinions. And now I help others to do the same. So if you are capital D done feeling like a hostage to this a-hole called perfectionism, then this show is for you. My goal is for you to leave each episode with tactical action steps that you can start to implement in your life now. I may be in my 20s. I may have the voice of a sassier Cinderella, but I've been doing this personal development-ish since I was a toddler. So let's dive in.
What is up, sweet, beautiful friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Life Coach Baker podcast. Today, we are talking about perfectionism and the holiday season. Now, for those of you who are not celebrating Thanksgiving, this might be a little bit early for you. Just save this and re-listen to this in a few weeks. Or if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, you might be like, holy God, everyone wants me to hang out with them. Everyone wants me to be in the family, Thanksgiving Day meal, but I don't know how to say no. Or maybe you're traveling home for Thanksgiving. This is going to be an episode kind of all encompassing the holidays and how perfectionism can really come up and bite us in the butt, especially if we've been doing so much work on ourselves this past year. And, we're like, okay, like I'm feeling really good. I'm like, I'm tackling this perfectionism thing. I'm starting to get stuff done. I'm starting to think happier thoughts about myself. I'm starting to hold myself to less of that insane high standard. That's just impossible to meet. And then we go home. And there's a psychological phenomenon that basically is when we are in an environment with the people we grew up in with, whether that's, family, friends, hometown, these are called anchors. And when we can go back to those times, when let's say, your parents are still living in the house that you grew up in and that you had a lot of perfectionism in, that is an anchor. And what it does is it brings out a lot of that old thoughts, old feelings, or maybe your parents say a sly comment about you that would have totally set you off on a perfectionism spiral. And it's a lot easier to, let that happen during the holiday season because you're freaking around them all the time. Most likely, this is not everyone's situation, but most of the time, this is the situation. So this is an episode I want to talk about kind of all encompassing that perfectionism during the holidays. Again, whether that's saying no and learning how to say no. You cannot be at everyone's house on Thanksgiving or Christmas. And this is something, we're having to learn pretty hard this year as we live in the same state as two families. We're also, as you go back to hanging out with maybe some high school friends or some elementary school friends or going back to your childhood home, again, how to combat that anchor, how to make it so it doesn't feel like you're moving 20 steps backwards during the holiday season. It's so funny because I was, and I'll share this later, but I was just recently doing a TV segment on perfectionism and anxiety during the holiday season. And as a, little journalist that I am, I was like, okay, well, what's the stats? I want to know some statistics we can pull for the interview. And I found one from Psychology Today saying that 40%, on average, 40% of people have increased anxiety and depression during the holiday season, which I was like, whoa, that's weird. And that should not be the way it is. But actually that makes a lot of sense that is the way that it is. So It's just, we'll talk a lot about it in this, but I just kind of want to like give you all the brief that this might not be the longest episode we've ever done, but I want this to be an episode that you can listen to again and again throughout the holiday season, just to give you those reminders. Again, when we are in those anchors, when we are in those positions where, we're back with our parents, or we're, staying in a childhood home, or even just, it doesn't even have to be a childhood home. If we're just around people who's raised us, we tend to go immediately back to those old patterns or those old roles we used to fill, aka child, or desperately trying to please our parents, which is what a lot of perfectionism does stem from. So when those things come up, I want you all to have this episode that you can listen to and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. That's right. Before we dive into the meat, though, I do want to announce we are doing a big old Black Friday sale here at Life Coach Baker. The Life Coach Baker Black Friday sale is going to start Wednesday. That is this Wednesday, the 23rd, and it is going to go till Monday evening. So we got a few long days, but here's what I want you all to expect. So first and foremost, Black Friday, it is always deeply important to me whenever I am going through a Black Friday as like a consumer and a customer. I always make sure I purchase something for myself and myself only, whether that's a course or a coaching program or something that's going to broaden my reach, allow me to grow into the coach, the person, the athlete, the whatever I want to be. And I've made this promise to myself for multiple years, and it has never let me down. And so I want to present this to you all because I want you all to think about it this way too. Black Friday can be very like, okay, let me get all the gifts for every single person. And, perfectionists, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. Like, I want you all to put yourself on the front burner this holiday season, whether that's through one of these products or through something entirely different. I don't care, but please, please, please put yourself first and make sure you are getting something for your own personal gain and your own personal growth, because that hits us with the dopamine and it feels really, really good. And then it also feels like we're putting ourselves first and putting our mask on first, which is what a lot of this healing perfectionism is supposed to do. The second thing I want you all to know regarding this specific Black Friday sale is it was deeply important to me to have multiple offers at a multiple different range of prices, because I have noticed, and I'm not the only one, that, there's this kind of stigma in the personal development world where if you're not investing 4, 5, 6 figures in yourself, then you're not getting the cream of the crop. And to be honest, that feels icky to me. Not everyone has that amount of money. Not everyone has that ability to invest that at this moment, especially given the current economy. And I want to make sure you all have a variety of range of prices ranging from $7 to $897 with payment plans available for that one. But I want you all to have that different range so that no matter whatever you invest, again, whether it's with me or whether it's with someone else, you feel ready to walk into 2023, not only tackling your perfectionism, but also knowing how to achieve your goals. Every single one of these products has that base lesson of how do we get you from where you are right now to where you want to be, whether that's the $7 offer or the $897 offer. It doesn't matter. They all have that at their core. It's just at different levels, as you can imagine. The biggest thing for me is I want you all, no matter which one you invest, whether it's the 7, the 897, or anywhere in between, I want you all to feel ready to walk into 2023 to embrace that beautiful, imperfect, wonderful, imperfect perfectionist self that you are. And especially going into this year, I'm noticing a big shift in the world. I know that sounds very dramatic, but here's what I mean. Like, between social media platforms like Be Real and TikTok starting to show a lot more of like behind the scenes, a lot more of the real stuff, there is a lot of, let's start getting into our imperfections. Let's start getting into our authenticity. And I want to celebrate that, because holy God, I'm so happy. It's finally like, I'm so glad it's finally doing this. And all of these, again, while they're at the core, all about helping you achieve your goals, all about helping you release that perfectionism, release that need to be in control, release that need to be the best at everything you do, release that need to have your to-do list be the center of your life. I also want to make sure it is helping you step into that beautifully authentic person that you know you are. So really quickly, I'm just going to go through the offers that we have. Again, if you're listening to this episode the day it drops, which is Tuesday, the 22nd, our sale starts tomorrow. So it will run from Wednesday, the 23rd, all the way to Monday, the Cyber Monday, whatever day of the week that is, Wednesday to Monday. So what we have under $20 are my signature visualization and journal practice. This is actually an offer I just created this past month. I'm really excited about it because I've been asked for this for freaking years and finally sat down and did it. So this is my signature visualization that I use with basically all of my one-on-one clients. I use it in a lot of my different courses, and it is a visualization that I have been using for probably almost even 5 years, because I was using it before I was a coach. It has helped people manifest things from dream houses to careers to income to partners. It was actually what I used to manifest my partner, who I'm getting married to next year. Holy shit. But what this is it's a short and sweet visualization practice. Notice I say practice here. It is deeply important to me that you have this and you don't just listen to it once and be like, okay, cool, I did it. This is something that you can continuously use and make it a conditioning as a part of your daily ritual. So it's short. And I wanted to honor the fact that we're all busy despite the fact that we're trying to rewrite that narrative. But I want you all to have this where it feels easy to do it every single day. In addition, I have a journal prompt workbook. So there's a whole list of 9 of the most powerful journal prompts I've ever used in my life. In addition, there's also a sheet, and I think there's an accompanying video with best ways to get the most out of your journaling and visualization practice. So little tips, easy things that you can do, so on and so forth. This is $7, which I told my coach, and she was like, "You're an idiot. You should be pricing it more." And I said, "No, I want everyone to get this. I want it to be a very easy price point because I want everyone to have this information." I think that this is one of the most impactful things. You'll also learn the science behind why visualization is so important. If you've been listening to the podcast, odds are you are probably a left brain thinker like me, or at least you have some left brain tendencies. I like to know why the science, I like to know why it's important. I like to know why it works before I start using something, because it just helps me buy into the hype of it so much more, if I'm being totally honest. And this is no different. So that is the first under $20 offer. The second under $20 offer is my mini course package called Unsubscribing from Perfectionism. If you've been in my space for a while, I have my framework, the 3 different types of perfectionists, and I decided to make a mini course for each type of perfectionist. But then I was like, you know what? We tend to lean into all 3 types at some point in our life. Why don't we just package this whole thing together and discount the price? And that's what I did. So this is $19. This is a package of 3 different mini courses, all teaching you what their type of perfectionists are, and if you are that type. Also, what are the self-sabotaging patterns of this perfectionist type? We cannot change what we do not know. So this is a really important part. And of course, how do you overcome each perfectionist type? I think it's so important to know all 3 types, because let's say I'm an overachiever at work, but I'm a procrastinator at home. If I'm an overachiever at work, I know the exact breakdown method of how to get out of overachieving perfectionism at work. And then at home, I know the exact breakdown method of how to get out of that procrastination station at home. It is so helpful to know. And also then you can be there for all your friends who are falling into these different patterns as well. I have received messages from people saying that this is the best $19 they've ever spent in their life. So that is that option. By the way, as you're going through this, if you're like, frick, I want that one, you can go to lifecoachbaker.com/Black Friday 2022. Black Friday 2022. Link is also in the show notes. Next up, we have the multi-week course offer. I have been asked since I ran Get Productive, the live version, I think minimum 30 times, when are you running it again? How can I get the information? Where can I go? And guess what? I am offering just the course, but I am offering the course on Black Friday for $300 off. This was a fun one. This is my signature course. This is my most popular course by far. It is all about learning how to accomplish more without burning yourself out. It is a 6-week program, and you will learn the number one productivity tool used by multimillionaires, how to cut your to-do list in half, how to increase your focus while achieving your goals faster, how to get a healthy relationship with rest that allows you to enjoy resting rather than feel guilty for resting. There's a lot of mindset stuff going on in that one, and how to gain back hours during your week. This is through scheduling, through different tools and techniques that I'm going to teach you all in the course. This course is life-changing. This is one of those that I felt guided the entire time we were making it, because it just flooded out of me. This has been one of my favorite courses to ever make, not because the information's amazing, but the impact it has on people is outstanding. So for Black Friday, it is $300 off. The normal price of Get Productive, just the course, is $500. I am offering it for Black Friday for $197. I'm really excited. Last but not least, so the last category is one-on-one coaching. Now, when I did like a little poll on my Instagram, I was like, what do people want from Black Friday? Do you want mini courses? Do you want multi-week courses? Do you want one-on-one coaching? Overarching, the one-on-one coaching won out by a landslide, which honestly I was kind of surprised about and I'm very excited for. So I actually added a special one-on-one coaching opportunity only for Black Friday. This is a 90-minute intensive with me. We will meet privately, just you and I, for 90 minutes, and we will look at strategizing your goal. We will look at your mindset. We will look at the motivation around it. We will look at breaking down your exact next steps so you know exactly what to do. But I didn't want to stop there. Including in that 90-minute session, you also get 1 week of unlimited Voxer access to me. If you don't know what Voxer is, here you go. It is basically a walkie-talkie app. It's like having me in your back pocket. All of my clients, every single person who goes through my coaching programs, whether it's a 6-week intensive or the 6-month program, they say that Voxer is one of the most powerful things, because in between our sessions, life happens, we stub our toe, something happens. We get a message from a friend that totally sets us off on a people pleaser spiral, and having that in the moment, like, hey, Nicole, I'm struggling with, or hey, Nicole, I need you to look at this. Hey, Nicole, I need da. Having that in the moment implementation is actually what completely rewires our brain. So I wanted to give you all a 1 week access to me on Voxer so that we can take what we learned in that 90-minute session and implement it. And you have me basically walking with you hand in hand as you go through that first week of implementing it. I'm so excited about this. Again, this is only available for Black Friday. I do not offer this normally. I'm really excited. It is $297 for the 90-minute intensive and the 1 week of Voxer, $297 in total. And last but not least, my 6-week intensive. This is my most popular one-on-one coaching program option. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing for you if you are looking to create a 2023 business plan, or if you're wanting to achieve a major goal in the next few months and you need a strategy and a mindset glow up. You also get high touch accountability on helping yourself follow through. Like, I am in your face in these 6 weeks, and it's so fun. Also, if you're launching a new product or a service in your business, by the way, this is not just for business owners. I have people who are like, I just want a mindset reset in these 6 weeks, and we go all in. This is a all in, full stop, high touch, high accountability 6 weeks. We go in depth, and it is awesome. I love these 6 weeks programs because it's just like, we always cover so much more than people think we ever could in just 6 weeks. The 6-week intensive includes an in-depth rework questionnaire so we can dive deep in our first call, because we only have 6 weeks. We have so much to cover. You also get 3 one-hour calls with me that are scheduled every other week. You also get 6 weeks of unlimited Voxer support. That is huge. And just for Black Friday, I'm also throwing in that bonus visualization so that you have that access so you can practice that during our 6 weeks together. This is $400 off. Normally it's $12.97 for the 6-week program. I am offering it for an all-time low price of $8.97. And I'm really excited. As you should know, there are only 5 spots available for the intensive. And I forgot to mention this, there's only 3 spots available for the 90-minute intensive. The 6-week intensive, the 5 spots, I will go ahead and tell you, 1 is already taken as the time I'm recording this, which is a week ahead. I'm assuming it'll actually be less than that at the time you're hearing this. So make sure that if you want to get in on this, go fast because these are going to fly off the shelves. I feel like a car salesman. God, these are going to go really quickly because they are my most popular coaching option. And I'm really, 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 really excited. Again, you can go to lifecoachbaker.com/Black Friday 2022 or click the link in the show notes. All the information is there regarding Black Friday. Friends, let's dive into the meat. So, like I mentioned earlier, 40% of people experience higher levels of anxiety and depression during the holiday season. And it makes so much sense. We have higher expectations of ourselves. We think everything is going to go perfectly. We imagine decorating the tree or lighting the candles or cooking the turkey and everything being like this like romanticized version. And in all reality, shit hits the fan. The kids start screaming. The dog knocks the turkey off the table. There's stuff that happens. And because of that, we tend to have like our talons synced in even more when it comes to control. We also feel hella guilty around saying no during the holiday season, which leads to not a lot of rest and leads to us feeling like we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. Also, falling back into old family dynamics or friend dynamics. Again, going back to that anchor, it really can feel like, you know, I would have this for so long. Like my family, you know, it's a family like anyone. And whenever I would come home from Chicago for Christmas and like, you know, I'd see my sister and I'd see like all these people, I would kind of fall back into that old bully kid. Not because of them. They never bullied me, thank God. But I was just like, I just immediately fell back into that state of just like, oh, well, like I need to be quiet. I need to be like, you know, like small. I can't be loud. I can't, you know, speak up. I have to give them space to talk. And I'm just like, at one point I looked at myself in the mirror before going to bed and I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, what are you doing? This is not you. Like, you've done so much work to kick this girl out of your system. Kick her out. She's not here anymore. And the next morning I was a completely different person and I kept that, but only because I kept reminding myself of it. It's not a one and done situation. And we'll go through that more in a minute. So really above all, the holiday season can kind of trigger that I need to be perfect for everyone muscle that, you know, we're working so hard to weaken that sweet, sweet muscle. Alrighty. So first and foremost, I want to talk about those expectations. When we are in that state of like, I have really, you know, everything's going to be perfect during the holiday season. It's going to be magical. Everyone's going to love each other. The dog's never going to kick the turkey off the table. When we are in those really like high state of romanticism and high expectations and things start going wrong, we panic, right? We start to get like, oh my gosh, well, I need to make sure I turn this around and da, 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 da. And the name of the game, and a lot of perfectionists hate it when I say this, but to be honest, that's kind of why it's so important. You got to release control. During the holiday season, one of the reasons why our anxiety spikes is because we feel like we have to be the best. We have to be the perfect kid. We have to be the perfect spouse. We have to be the perfect parent. That is impossible. Things are going to go wrong. The kids are going to cry. I'm not here being like, lower your expectations. I'm literally saying release freaking control, whether that means delegating some things. Like, you know, I notice a lot of specifically women, but I don't want to say like only women, but on general, women tend to take on a lot more. There's a lot of hosting. There's a lot of, I want to make sure the house looks immaculate. I want to make sure the decorations are perfect. And it can be exhausting, you know, and like, I really want to stress the importance of delegation during the holiday season. It does not make you weak. It actually means that you're stopping, you're asking for help. And actually what I've seen is, especially during the holiday season, people are willing to help a lot more. And why not take them up on that? It makes people happy to help. I mean, not everyone, but I'd say the majority of the population feels pleased and happy when they're helping others. It's actually a huge boost of dopamine because we're connecting with other people. That's like kind of a base human need that we all do. But really, when it comes to expectations, think of something like, notice that state of anxiety or that state of talons sinking in, needing to be in control. Find where that lives in your body. And that sounds weird, but I mean it in the way, like, literally close your eyes and ask yourself, okay, like, go ahead and let myself feel stressed or feel like I need to be in control. Notice where in your body tenses up. If it's your chest or your jaw or your gut, put your hand on there and then come up with a phrase or a saying that's like, I'm allowed to release control, or I'm allowed to not be in the driver's seat all the time, or I'm allowed to ask for help. Something like that where it reminds you to basically chill out, release, enjoy. Here's the benefits of this. When we are in control, it is impossible for us to be in the present moment because we're in that tunnel vision, right? We're in that state of stress and tense. When we let go, we're able to be present. And when we're present, that is when we're able to find that true fulfillment and joy during the holiday season. Not just during the holiday season, this is every time, but specifically during the holiday season, when we tend to slow down, or at least think we're going to slow down and want to rest a little bit more. That is how you do it. You have to release control. You have to handle those expectations in a way that reminds you, that's right, I'm allowed to ask for help, so on and so forth. Let's talk about guilt around saying no. First and foremost, we cannot please everyone. And I know that there's some people pleasers out there who are like, but what if I try? What if I try really hard? Can't I? You can try, but you're going to make yourself miserable in the process. And one of the ways I like to look at the holiday season is not a test. That sounds like a perfectionist, going back to school nightmare. But I'm more thinking like as a way of like testing the waters of all the work you've been doing this year. When we're far away from the holiday season, when we're further away from like these like back-to-back events and, big family gatherings or small family gatherings that we want to be perfect, when we're far away from those and we're in like maybe the summer or the spring, it's easier to focus on us typically. It's easier to build up these new patterns of like, wow, I'm allowed to release control. I'm allowed to feel really good about saying no. I'm allowed to put up boundaries. I don't have to people please all the time. But then the holiday season is where you really get to test the waters on that. And I look at it rather than like, okay, let me see if I get an A+. I look at it more like, okay, like this is an opportunity for me to grow in an immersed setting. I think the one thing that happens during this season though, is this idea that, not even this idea, this feeling of guilt. If I'm saying no to people, that means I have to feel guilty because they're not seeing me, or they're not, I'm not going to be with them on Thanksgiving or stuff like that. And I want you all to take a moment and ask yourself, how can I reframe guilt? Guilt is one of those emotions that there is no upside to it. It is hurting you. It is hurting others. And I'm not saying that to be like, you should feel even worse for feeling guilty. I'm saying that more as, what if there's a way to make this guilt a more expansive, a more productive feeling? Now, if you're feeling guilty, I don't want to be like, shame on you. You shouldn't be feeling that way. But what I am saying is, what if instead, you said no and Aunt June is like, oh, you're always here for Thanksgiving. You're not going to be here this year. What if instead of being like, you're right, Aunt June, I'm the worst person in the world and I'm so sorry and da 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 da. What if instead you say to yourself, okay, this is me standing up for myself. That's me growing. That's a very different way of looking at guilt. What if it was instead, wow, look at me standing up for myself. Look at me choosing myself for the first freaking time ever. Look at me. That is growth. I am moving forward. Hooray! What if we were able to look at it like that? It is literally all of mindset work is just reframing. And there's this big, stuff going on right now about like, let yourself feel these things, let yourself feel these things. And I do agree with that. But I do also think that there's a point where we get safe and we get comfortable feeling like shit all the time. And then it feels really hard to move forward because we're being told left and right, you should be feeling these feelings. You should be feeling these feelings. And you're like, but I felt them and I don't feel any better. I think that there's a way of honoring your feelings while still moving forward, while still choosing that, you know what, I get to mean that this is growth. Or even if we're looking at guilt, the absolute antithesis of guilt is gratitude. So if you are able to tap into gratitude, and it doesn't have to be right away, but even just like if you're able to move into a state of gratitude from guilt, holy God, your experience changes massively. So let's say you're not able to go to someone's house for Christmas. I mean, I am very fortunate that my parents and my fiance's parents live about an hour away from each other, but that does mean we choose one person to go to for Christmas morning and one person to go to for Christmas evening. And my family is very, very tradition heavy. We have very specific things that we do for Christmas every single year. So we typically go to my parents' house for Christmas morning and then Brett's parents for Christmas evening. And the first time we did this, I felt horribly guilty because we weren't going to be with his family morning of Christmas. And I was feeling terrible. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what, what can we do? How can we make this better? Can we Zoom them? I was trying to figure out what is the way that I can make this as little of a burden as possible. And finally, Brett had to hold my hand. And he was like, listen, like, I don't want anything to take away from our time with either of our families. We need to be able to be present at both opportunities. And that is not going to happen if we're worried about not being at the other. And I was like, damn, boy, you're really good at this. And so gratitude is another way of getting in the present moment. Honestly, if I could boil the holiday season cure, quote unquote, down to one phrase, it would be get yourself in the present moment. Because that is when we end the holiday season. We're like, oh my God, like that was the most beautiful, magical time. Same thing with when you're going on a holiday or you're going on a vacation. Like, get yourself in the present moment. So often we're thinking about our to-do list and what we need to do when we go home and work and especially if you're an entrepreneur, there's all these things that you could be doing and it's just impossible. So you will say no. You will have to say no. You can let yourself feel terrible and guilty about that, or you can start letting it mean something different. But here's my biggest homework piece for you if you are dealing with this. Choose beforehand what that new meaning is. Do not do it in the present moment. Do not do it in the moment of Aunt June telling you what a shit, niece you are for not going to Thanksgiving with her. Choose early. Choose now while you're listening to this, while it's fresh in your brain, what that new meaning is going to be. Whether that's, I'm grateful that I get to stay present with this other situation, or that means I am grateful for choosing myself and for growing and for actually standing up for myself for once. Like whatever that new choice is, choose it now, because then it'll be so much easier to address in the present moment. Last but not least, falling back into family dynamics. Anchors are hard because they're so sneaky. We don't notice because it's so subconscious when we, just like it's automatic. I mean, I think about it this way. Like if there's a song that you shared with an ex that is just like, that was your song, and then you hear it, you're instantly thinking about them. Whether it was a happy breakup, whether it was not a happy breakup, you instantly think about that person. That's an anchor. This is just in a location or a group-based setting. So if location, like your house or something like that, brings back a lot of old patterns and thoughts, you do that automatically without even thinking. But here's what I think is really important during this time of year. Catching yourself on those automatic moments is not impossible. In fact, it's actually with a little bit of preemptive work. I don't know if work's the right word, but I'm going to say it for lack of a better one. With a little preemptive work, you can rewrite those patterns easy as pie. So here's my assignment for you. if you are someone who goes back to family or friends or a family house or something like that and immediately fall back into those old perfectionistic tendencies. Again, a lot of us are perfectionists because we were conditioned to be so from family members. But if we go back into those situations without pre-planning, we're going to immediately fall back into it. So here's what I want you all to do. Write out what are some common feelings or thoughts you have when you're either with this family, with this person, in this location, so on and so forth, or choose all three. So for me, whenever I would fall back into, going back to see my family, I would think my voice doesn't matter. I'm not the important person in the room. I need to make sure I'm giving everyone else space to talk. I need to make sure I'm quiet, so on and so forth. And if and I'm writing this out, I'm saying this, okay, this is what I'm noticing. This is what I'm noticing. What I am telling my brain is, hey, I am wanting to be aware of this. No more of that subconscious thinking. Instead, it is, I want to be aware of this, so catch me on it. When we physically write something out, we are so much more likely to not only be aware of it, but then have the opportunity to, once it's in our awareness, it goes from our subconscious mind to our conscious mind, which is where we make new decisions, which is step 2. With each of those things, write down the new decision you want to make. So for instance, for me, your voice doesn't matter turned into, I am just as important as everyone else in this room. My voice does matter. You can say something here and be honored for that. And when I was able to sit down and write out, okay, this is what I want to think instead. This is what I want to think instead. Now, did I just write it all out once and then go on my hunky-dory merry way? No, I kept that list with me during the holiday season. And if I ever felt like something's wrong, I don't feel right, I feel like I'm going back into old patterns, I would read that list and remind my conscious brain, this is what you're choosing. This is what you're doing differently. So if you are someone who falls back into old family, and that doesn't even have to be family dynamics, old dynamics, old perfectionistic tendencies, this is the way to go. So I gave you all 3 different tips. If you have questions, this is really meaty stuff. If you have questions, send me a DM. I am here to talk to you about this stuff on Instagram. I'm at Life Coach Baker. That's probably the easiest way to send me a message, because during the holidays, I don't check my email, but I do check my Instagram. So go ahead and send me an Instagram on there. I'd love to answer questions or celebrate wins. Or if you notice like, oh my gosh, I caught myself doing this. Hooray. I'd love to celebrate you on that. Now, I'm going to go through segments actually really quickly, because how was I a perfectionist this week? And I have been sitting on this question for like 72 hours. And I'm like, I don't know if I have an answer to this week. And here's why. Because the goal we're celebrating, 2 major things happened this week. Number 1, I made my TV debut yesterday. That was awesome. It was so fun. I'm still pinching myself to remind myself, hey, this actually happened. And I took some time to like really celebrate and enjoy and sit with it yesterday and like write out like, hey, congratulations. You've been thinking about this for a while and it's finally come to fruition. Go you. The second thing is, over the weekend, this is a small story, but on Friday night, or maybe Thursday or Friday night, I received an email from one of the head of front of house volunteers at TEDx, excuse me. And, they were saying like, hey, I know you're set up to volunteer on Sunday. Our head volunteer can't do it. How much do you like logistics? Like, basically. And I was like, I love logistics. Count me in. I'll figure it out. And in under 24 hours, I was able to learn and pull off this incredible front of house event so that the speakers on stage just like absolutely killed it. It was so fun. And, I'm just unbelievably proud. I was talking to my parents afterward. I was like, I don't know if I've ever been more proud of myself for just like learning and executing something. I didn't have time to be a perfectionist about it. To be honest, I was just so in like, I don't know how else to describe it. I was just being guided. There was something bigger than me that going on. And the curators at the very end were just unbelievably grateful. And it was a really cool way to break into the TED space. TEDx, as I have very bluntly explained on this podcast many times, is a dream of mine. And to be closer to that and not only see it from the back end, but to be able to talk to the curators and to be able to see like, okay, like here's what you guys need from here. Here's what you guys need from here. And to be able to see it not as just like the speaker, but as the whole organization together and the bigger mission was a gift I could not have even dreamed of. And to be able to stand on that stage with the TEDx sign in the back and get a few photos and stuff like that, it was just like, I remember the first time I walked into the theater the day before the event, I was like setting some stuff up and all that good jazz, but I saw the TEDx sign, I saw the Cherry Creek and the red dot on the center of the table or center of the stage. And I just like, it was just like this, like, oh, it like overcame me. It was really, really cool. So I'm unbelievably proud that it was just drop of a hat. All right, let's do this. Let's do this thing. And didn't have time to be a perfectionist about it because I was just being guided. There was something bigger. And I trusted that I had everything it took to handle that situation, which there are a few times in my life, more so recently, but a few times in my life where that really came to fruition like that. Alrighty, my sweet friends, this was a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but I hope you all have an amazing holiday week. If you're celebrating, if not, no worries. No matter what you're doing, go get a Black Friday offer for you. Go expand your horizon, go expand your growth, set yourself up for 2023. Whether that's through any of the ones I mentioned, again, you can go to lifecoachbaker.com/Black Friday 2022, and they are all listed on there. Or if that's something else, but choose one that expands for you, because that is the biggest thing here. It is not just about getting gifts for everyone else. You are important too, and make sure you're doing something for yourself. Sweet, beautiful friends, I love you. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Life Coach Baker podcast. Don't forget to go take the free quiz and find out what perfectionist type you are by visiting the link in the show notes or by going to lifecoachbaker.com/quiz. Also, take a moment to rate the podcast and write a review. It is the best way to get the word out there. Plus, you'll get the chance of having your review read on the show. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.